Okay, the time is short. I'm going to continue. Let me introduce myself. I'm Canan Meleg, and I've worked for Raiffeisen Bank for 18 years. It's a long time. And I became an ES400 expert and leader. I am the system manager's leader for all platforms network. This means 45 managing people. I'm responsible now the operation of application systems 24/7 and second level support for service center and incidents, problem, procedures, running and change management, of course. Of course, this means we are monitoring the running systems in a production environment, and we need to know the performance and the statuses of the application, which one is using by the users and the customers. Okay, let's continue with the IT. What was our problem and why we started to work on it? In an appropriate time and a peak period performance issue, we're suffering for that on our heavily used internal Java-based application portal. That means this is the portal what we're using in branches and how and through or what our customers are serviced during the peak periods or on a non-identified incidents. The portal performance will degrade. That means the customers cannot be serviced in the branches or the user experience went down. This was the cluster of applications. That means in this G2E environment, this Java environment, we deployed a lot of application. That means when the server node has a performance problem, a lot of application which was running on that server node could affect it. And that means if some errors happened on one server, one application, it's affected to the others or more. It was a problem for us. And if we continue this thinking, that means the root cause, which is not identified, could cause a problem for more application than only one. The only way to solve it immediately, do a quick restart the whole cluster, and it's mean that's a short time of outage in the worst case. Okay, what was the situation before we started to work with Dynatrace? The customers call the service desk. They have some problem. This application is slow, and the monitoring tools, we just monitor the CPU, just monitor the hard disks, and the memory shows us everything is green. The LAN, the network is on and it's connected, it's working, and everything looks good. And we have less information about the performance. How did we try resolve at that time? We created memory dumps on that servers or component which we think could problem, and try to dump it and later load into the analyze application and look after what could be the problem. And meantime, the server still has performance problem. It's slow. Collecting logs from the HTTP servers, collecting the logs from the system out from Java server, collecting logs of application and see all them together and find the root cause. Developers is not in nearly every company has got the same situation. The user administrators own and they can reach the performance information for CPUs and the hardware metrics, and the developers is usually not. They are just reach the codes and they can see only the surface and or just an application. That means they have to work together and they have to just somehow join the two information and to finally find the root cause. That's what I mentioned to you before. Accessible to the information mostly for the system administrators. Human resource factor was a very program. New projects are running. That means the new projects on a way. They try to allocate as they can resources, human resources. And when a live problem in the production environment happens, that means sometimes I immediately need the knowledge of the designer, of the programmer, of the architect expert, and it's very hard to ask the project managers to give it them to me, because it need to investigate immediately. And this is a very bad situation, because the project manager missed deadlines, and the other way, and on the other hand, I do not have stable operation. It's not a win-win situation. How we try to solve this? We kicked off a project with a budget, and focused on defining this project with which SLA and which response time we would like to reach. And we decided to solve this human factor. We set up a SWAT team. There was some criteria for the SWAT team. I would like to persons who are not involved in the development earlier. That means they have no preconceptions about the system. They work with me directly, and we hold daily meetings and analyze the results and correct the focus if necessary. This was our approach. How this SWAT teams look like? Yeah, the team is ready, but some equipment is missing. We have to find the right tool to work perfectly. Guess what? Yes, special weapon, of course, the Dynatrace APM software. And what was very important for me, no code modification needed. I was able to deploy the agents on the live environment, start them, and it's immediately collected the information from me from the production environment. And it's important. From the production environment means that I do not have to reproduce in the test environment. I do not have to go after the user to reproduce it. Please do it again, because I did not see. I see in the log you did something, but I lost. Maybe my trace was not turned on, and it's problem to reproduce. And I cannot shoot the developer or the administrator, but they should investigate. What I saw after 5 minutes, I turned off the Dynatrace. I immediately saw what's my system and how does it look like. And maybe you can understand why I need the right tool to find the bottleneck in this environment. As I mentioned to you, in the last 20 years, we build new market products. And we added more and more new features to the system. In the last 10 years, we decided to start the new developments in the G2E, and we added more and more components to it. We're using GBoss, we're using WebSphere. That means our architecture is very mixed, and Dynatrace is able to work in this mixed environment. We are using GBoss, as I mentioned, WebSphere message broker, WebSphere MQ, web services, remote method call invocation, lot of Oracle databases. That means you can see that more than 20 servers have to work together if to the service to right response time. And enlarge of the previous screen. On the left side, I can see the presentation servers, 4 of them. I can see the calls, the response time. On the middle part of the screen, I can see the application servers where the business logic deploys. On the right side, down, there is Oracle servers. I can see the response time of them in the time period. I changed. On the right corner, up right corner, there is this service calls, and the Dynatrace shows me the service course happens, but I do not have agent on that server. That means Dynatrace cannot follow this pure path, but shows me or my server code service which know the response, but no exact information what happened on that server. Okay, the dashboards. we created a measure for the customer screen, which screen is a domain and most frequently used screen in the branches. When the customer sit down in front of the account manager, is the first time she or he types the customer number into the front-end screen, and it's collecting every information from every system, for the card system, the account number, the account balance, debits, and every information which is available. This is the most important. We created the dashboard, and now I can see in the live environment immediately what is the response time of this function. The red line is the worst response time, and the blue one is the average, and the green one is the best response time, and the black line in the middle is the response time of the services. I can collect the services just for this function on the second dashboard in the middle diagram, the chart. I can see all the services which one called by this function and the response time on them. And the last chart is the load, the volume of the request on the customer screen. Here we can see the morning is at 10-11 o'clock is the most peak time, and later in it's lunchtime and come down. And you can see it's an evening. It's not that time, because our call center, 24 hours call center, is working and use this function. Yeah, this is dashboard for me. I can see my applications are running or not. I can see some main metrics like AEP connections are busy. Actually, if it's a flat line, I can see that it's good, that everybody has responded. And the other one, which one is I really like, the right bottom, is it's a very, very important information for me. If I have a server with a lot of application, not just one, it's 40, for example, and I do not know which application is used or consume more resources than the other, which application is most frequently used, not just in volume, not just in count, but in resources, in CPUs, wait times, IOs, and so on. And in this chart, I can see which application is the most important on the server. This could shows it to me maybe this yellow one should move to another server or dedicate some resource, because it's very important and it's frequently used. You can right click on that and you can get the detailed information immediately on the right time. I mentioned to you, I do not have to go back time. I do not have to recreate the program in the test environment. I can catch it immediately from the live environment. I can see what happened in the code. I can see which database calls, and exactly I can see the database statements, select, insert, update, what happened, how many of them was called, what was the connection pool at that time, what was the response time, the average, maximum, minimum, the total time what spent this calls. Yeah, I can see only one transaction flow through servers. I can see which node reached the request, which other WebSphere application servers was called, how many messages or other database or web service function called, and what was the response. It's very, very usable. This is an example of another screen. I can see the call sequence between the APIs, between the servers, which one calls the other, how it come back. It's easy, very visible, and easy to work with it. And the screen you can see that appropriate request, which service was called, what was the response time, what method on namespace was called on that service, was successful or not. It was a client or a server call on that appropriate pure path. Very, very useful information to find the bottleneck. Yes, the other information, as I mentioned to you, it's very hard to see the performance of the server, the resource utilization, together with the application methods, with the application sequence. I can see them together. I can see the thread count. I can see the garbage collection, how it's running. What is the memory utilization? Do I have a garbage GVM suspension? Is garbage collection was running or not? What is the request count? I can create a health dashboard for my server, and I can give it to the developer or give it to that. In our example, to the SWAT team who is able to work with that. Okay, is the metrics of the hardware, the CPU, the network utilization, the storage of the file systems, the utilization of the file systems, how many servers hosted in this server, what type of server is this, CPU's memory, and so on. What was the CPU usage of this server? As I mentioned to you, normally it's available just for administrators. Okay, I can create alerting for that. That means if you can see the customer screen, I created a measure for that. I can see the response time, and I can alert it if it reach a point, reach the threshold. I can get immediately an alert, and I can start to do and work with it and solve the problem. Yeah, I can see the history of the successful transaction and the percentage of successful transactions, and I can see the customer experiences. Okay, what was the result? The project kicked off in the 2012, and in January we created a SWAT team. It was 5 persons, and in January, middle of January, we installed the Dynatrace. We started the training and started to implement the Dynatrace, create the measures, and we spent the next month continue the analysis, and February we finished with the dashboard. We found a lot of issues, and on the February we were able to we were able to work on the development to create the patches, the fixed patches, which solve our problems. On March, we finished the test and releasing the fixing patches in the production environment. And in 22nd of March, practically with no unplanned outage or serious performance problems. That means within 2 months we were able to detect the most important performance bottlenecks in the system with the required human resources and with the right tool. And we did not finish the work. We continued to investigate the whole year, and we updated our application 3 or 4 new patches, deploy in weeks. That means in the total whole last year, we fixed 120 problems and fixed them. Let's see them in details. Now today I can see immediately when something performance degree happens. That means, as I said to my colleagues, morning a bottleneck, evening a solution. This is what we're doing now. Let's see some success stories. The portal login before we started to investigate, and it was 10 or 12 seconds. Today is 4 or 5. You can see in this graph and this chart that you can see it is March, 25th of March. The response time of login was that. During the investigation, we detected the problems, and after that, it's nearly total flat line. It's much better. The other effect of this work we found this serious performance and high utilization of the system. We reached that point that during the installation we used less and less hardware utilization, hardware consumes. This means the CPU went down to 50%. Somebody asked me, what is the overhead of the Dynatrace on the live environment? On this, if I see this chart, I can say that it's not overhead. It give us 20 or 50 more percent resources. It's happened. It's mean that we do not need to buy new hardware. We did not buy licenses on the last year because we save resources on that year. Yeah, it was many companies have got a theoretic dispute about what is the solution for the performance problem. The developer said the operation had need to buy new hardware, buy more hardware, add more CPU, and bigger. We have to move to bigger machine. And the operation always said, of course, that it's. I don't think so. We should look over the code. We should investigate the problem and change it. And as you can see in this chart, yeah, that's happened. Without changing the hardware, we were able to reduce the hardware utilization and reduce the. We do not have reduce the cost of operation. And it was very good news for me. There is no more dispute between the developer and an operation. We do not have to say, oh, I saw that happened sometimes something, but I did not catch it. But you have to believe me, this is a code problem, and I have no evidence in my hand. No, today I've had it. I've got it. I can catch the pure path. I can export it to an export file. And I can give it to not just for my developers, but all of my vendors, because Dynatrace has got a free client, viewer client. I can give them the stored pure path, and they can view it with the free tool, and they can investigate what happened in live in the production. I repeat myself because it's very important. It happened in the production, not in the test environment, not in the development lab. It's happened on the production. We learned what we learned in the test of the production environment today with Dynatrace, and we applied it in new development tomorrow. What's the way forward? What does it mean? We must ensure that the discovered issues will never occur again. That means we cleaned the production and it's come back with the next deployment or with the next development. And we decided to improve the quality assurance of the code. We try to catch the missing parameters, the unlimited timeout, were complex code. We regularly measurement, because Dynatrace is able to install to the test environment. That means when I doing a continuous integration and an overnight testing with the Gmeter or the load runner, creating task scans, I am able to test it day by day, and I can see the performance of my method, the performance of my application, and I can see it immediately when during the development phase somewhere went wrong and the performance is over the threshold. I can follow it during the development phase. That means it will never reach the production environment. Okay, and finally, let's see your SWAT team today. The team with the right equipment, with the right tool. The team with SWAT, team with Dynatrace. Thank you for your attention.